Hey Sugar Shack family, welcome to this episode of We Could Just Make That. Today we're going to be making homemade lasagna noodles. So a couple of weeks ago we made pasta sauce. We even put some in the freeze dryer and stored it. So today we're going to make the noodles, but we'll just go ahead and make the whole recipe. So stick with me while I make homemade lasagna noodles. So on the two slides before, I showed you that in this bowl, we have 250 grams of flour, and that is organic, unbleached, all-purpose flour. And we also have a teaspoon of salt. In this bowl, I've added 250 grams of unbleached, organic, all-purpose flour and a teaspoon of salt. I also put a little well here in the middle that I will be pouring the 2 eggs in. So these eggs are from my beautiful chickens outside, and you can see how orange, especially one of them, the yolks are. I put them in this bowl first because when I crack an egg, I want to make sure that that egg is okay before I go pouring it into a recipe. So let's get it in the bowl, and then we'll just mix. Make sure that the eggs get into the flour. Just keep mixing it around. Now I have been mixing the egg up, and you see how this looks? I need to add a bit of water. So I'm excited about putting this little clip in this space. While I was making the dough, it was too dry. So I just went back, instead of 2 eggs, there are actually 3 eggs. I went back, added another egg and a couple of drops of water. The reason why I wanted to come and say this like this, in this manner, is to say, sometimes it's not working out and you just got to tweak the recipe. So had the pasta been wet enough, I wouldn't have added an egg, but it wasn't. So I could have added a half an egg or a whole egg. I could tell that I needed a whole egg. So always remember, you could tweak the recipe when you need to. So in this recipe, we started with 250 grams of flour. We added 2 eggs and a little bit of salt. Before it was all over, I added another egg and probably about 2 tablespoons of water. So just know you can play around with and tweak recipes. That is what makes them your own. That is how you get the sense of how you should bake or what dough should feel like. Remember that we can massage these recipes, and when we're learning how to cook, we need to learn how to make them our own. So I just poured a little bit of spring water into the dough. We don't want this dough to be too soft or too hard. This was just a little, I would say. Do not add too much water. That was just a little, and you will see it'll come together now. This is what I wanted it to come together. This is what I wanted the dough to look like as I kneaded it. Just one thing that I went ahead and did and forgot to mention, I took a little bit of oil, olive oil. Actually, I used avocado oil. You can use olive oil. Just a little bit, and rubbed it on the edge. What I'm gonna do now is let the dough rest. I'm going to put that plate, this saucer, right on top of the bowl. Many people you will see will put plastic. They'll wrap it up in plastic and put it in the refrigerator. I am not going to do that because part of the mission of this channel is to help us to get off of so much plastic. So instead of wrapping it in plastic, I am going to use this plate and just let it rest. You can let it rest anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes. I probably will let this rest 20 minutes and then we will be back. So we are back. We've let the dough rest. I've prepared a floured countertop in which we will put that dough on. And I have here a rolling pin. This is not the best rolling pin to use for this assignment. I'm gonna roll this out by hand. So don't worry about having to have any fancy lasagna kind of noodle press, which are also awesome, but we don't have to do that today. But let's roll this out. So of course, we're making lasagna, right? We want this to be skinny. We don't want any thick pieces to our pasta. What this is, must be, a little bit of bran. I was just rolling out some raisin bran on the counter. So we're gonna keep rolling. Okay, so I've been in here rolling. Actually broke my dough into two. So this is one part of the dough. Can you see how thin it is? I'm pretty happy with this. And so I'm gonna try to clear this so I can use the other one. Want it to be, as nice as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect. You guys already know I don't do perfect cooking. I just want to do good and good for you cooking. So I'm gonna go ahead and make my first sheet here. Actually, I'm gonna move this over for a minute and use this as a little bit of a model here. See that? Isn't that nice? Don't want it to stick here, so let's do something about that. But isn't that a nice lasagna noodle? Put it here for the next one. Again, they're not all going to be perfect, but they're also going to be covered. So don't get distracted with the imperfection of these that I am creating. Sometimes I look on YouTube and they have just perfectly cut pasta. I don't really care about that. I just care that it has good ingredients. It's gonna taste good. It's gonna look good when I put it in the pot. And it's gonna help us stay away from store-bought noodles. Don't be so caught up on the things that aren't as important as that desire to keep our people off of processed foods. So I have moved this over. Let me just hide. This is how we're gonna dry the pasta. And right now is how I'm gonna get some of it out of my way, because I did mention that I cut this pasta. I didn't roll the full pasta out. There's another half I have to roll out. Okay, so we have got a boil going on in our water. This is salted water, right? You want to salt your water before, you want to salt your water before you put the pasta in, because you want to make sure that the pasta is seasoned. You don't really want bland pasta. So, yay. We're putting our pasta in the water and we will cook it for several minutes. These little wood things come off, so they are going to all come off because I'm doing a video. So let's let this cook for a few minutes. We have boiled our noodles. They are out. We are making the last roll of lasagna so that you can see the noodles, but they look amazing. They look amazing. Remember, this is flour, eggs, and salt. So let's put our last roll of noodles over the lasagna. I have cheesy hands. The cheese is getting everywhere. I'm very pleased with this, the lasagna noodles. I had a little nibble of them. They are good. Move that out the way. So we're gonna just put the last of our sauce here. Like I said, we have very full rows. So we do not really need a lot on this top row. We just want it to brown well. I do not use ricotta cheese. I use cream cheese on my lasagna. You use what you want, either one, but I use cream cheese and I love it. I love the taste that the melted cream cheese puts on the lasagna. And then finally, I'm gonna put a little bit of olive oil on the top of the lasagna and some rosemary from my garden. When this cooks on top of the lasagna with the olive oil, it really tastes good. Rosemary is very good for the brain. If you haven't looked into rosemary, take a little time and look into rosemary and what it does for our brains when we take it, when we eat it, because of course eating things in their natural state is best, and when we put it in a tincture. I'm gonna bake this lasagna. I'm gonna put it in the oven at 400 degrees. I'm gonna cook it until it's done. I'm gonna keep looking at it, probably about 25 minutes, but we'll see, and you can see at home. I'll pull it out when it's done. Okay, family, and here we are with the finished lasagna product. So far, we have learned how to make our roasted sauce in another video. Today, we made the pasta for this recipe, this lasagna recipe, and tune in the next week or so, either this week or next week, we will actually make the cheese that goes into the recipe. So at that point, we will have a full recipe that we've made all of the ingredients for. Thank you for joining us. And always remember, we could just make that.